Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danni and today it's time to go through my March TBR. I have 10 books that I am very excited to read in the month of March and a couple others that I might sprinkle in along the way. I'm really hoping that this month will kind of pull me out of the rut that I've been in the past couple of months. I have had some good reads within January and February, but I've definitely been in a little bit of a slump, and so I'm hoping that some of these books can help with that. Let's start with my buddy reads in the month of March, and the first buddy read I'm going to mention actually also counts for my TBRathon Map of Stories prompt, which is a year-long readathon. If you guys aren't familiar with it, I'll have the announcement video linked below. And this month we are, I can't remember the location that we're in, I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can see it, but the prompt that I'll be fulfilling with this first buddy read is a child protagonist. And unfortunately, I'm not going to get to a middle grade this month, at least I don't think I am, even though that is kind of the area that we're in. You don't have to meet the genre prompts along with all of the other prompts, but I am meeting the child protagonist because this is Middlegame by Seanan McGuire. I tried this book years and years ago, and it just wasn't working for me. I think I was not in the right headspace, but I am still interested in this. And Julie from Keep Calm with Books and Coffee reached out and said, hey, if you want to read that, I do too. I know Julie is making her way through Seanan McGuire's canon. I can't remember if this is a reread for Julie or if this is her first time. I think it might be her first time reading the book. And then Luisina also reached out and said that she wanted to read that book with me as well. And so we're all going to buddy read it together. It will be a reread for Luisina, but I'm really excited to get to this. It does feature two younger children who are twins, and they have various skills. One of them is very good with numbers, one of them is very good with linguistics, and all I know is that they are perhaps not actually human. There is talk of like demigods and them having different magical abilities. Someone is trying to be their like taskmaster, but I think they are going to end up tricking him essentially into doing what they want. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know anything past that point. I am intrigued with this, and I hope that it works better for me the second time around. Next, we have a physical TBR book that I will be reading with Kirsten over at Reading Nymph. This is a series that I've been wanting to get to for quite a while. I've had a ton of people recommend this to me, and that is the Expanse series, starting with Leviathan Wakes. And all I really know about this is it is I think it's a space opera featuring our main character. I know there's a cast of characters though, so I don't know if it switches when it goes to different books or if we follow different POVs within this one story, but the character that they talk about in the synopsis is Jim Holden, who is an ice miner, and him and his crew end up coming across this wrecked ship in one of their ice mining expeditions, and this ship has some type of a secret in it that they're not supposed to know, and they're being hunted, essentially. You also have a background story, and I'm not sure if it connects or if maybe the characters overlap within. You have a missing girl whose parents are looking for her. They're very well off, and so they hire a detective to find her. All in the midst, this is all in outer space because you have, it says, humanity has colonized the solar system, Mars, the moon, and the asteroid belt and beyond, but the stars are still out of reach. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I've heard that a lot of the characters in this have I've heard that they're all very unique and have their own voices. I have been warned about a couple of them, so we'll see, but I am excited to get to this big chunky sci-fi. Next, we have my buddy read with Victoria over at Victoria Masters. Victoria reached out to me about an author that I've been wanting to get to, Tessa Gratton, and asked if I would like to read a new release by this author. And I've never heard of this story. I do think it sounds fascinating. That's The Mercy Makers. So this book features a main character, I think her name is Irisette. Yeah, and she is a progeny in her craft, so she can make magical disguises of sorts. And she does this for her father's criminal enterprise, I think. Her father ends up getting captured and is sentenced to death, and so she ends up infiltrating the palace to try and save him. I don't know exactly what that entails. I do like an espionage story, depending on how it is written, and the magical disguises is intriguing to me. I love this cover, and I have wanted to get to Tessa Gratton for a really long time. So perhaps this month is the month and Victoria and I can read this chunky fantasy book together. This is going to be a physical read for me. And so this will satisfy like that goal that I have for like every TBR. I have a physical book that I'm going to read, and this will be the one for this month. So fingers crossed that this works for me so I can get to other Tessa Grattons, because I think this one sounds fascinating. Next, I have a series continuation that I want to get to, and that is called Unbound. This is the second book in, I can't remember what the series title is, but the first book is Ascendant. And the first book featured a main character who, I think his name was Holt, if I remember correctly. He was a young boy. He was a cook for the dragon riders of this country, and this country is plagued with something called the Scourge. And the dragon riders have definitely been the protectors of the land. His father has been the head cook for all the dragon riders in this city that he is in for a really, really long time. And he's kind of training his son to be his prodigy, or his, that's not the right word, his predecessor. And he doesn't want that. He doesn't want to be a cook. He wants to be a dragon rider. The things happen within the first book that he does actually get to become a dragon rider of a blind dragon. And so the Unbound is the second book in the series. I just want to continue with this. I really liked Holt as a character. I liked the I like the way that the book poked fun at itself with these like RPG tropes that the author pulls in. I think the magic system is really interesting. I love the relationship between Holt and his dragon. I think his dragon's name was Ash, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna have to brush up on a couple of things before picking this one up, but I'm excited to get to this one. I have enjoyed the story, which was really surprising to me when I first picked it up, because it's a YA book, which I didn't know originally. This was a Battle of the Booktubers book. And so if a YA series works for me, I've got to finish it. Another series continuation is The Mortal Word. I didn't realize how many physical books that I had. This one I do have an audiobook for, but this is a continuation of the Invisible Library series, which I have just dearly loved. And I own 3 of them, but I don't own them all in order. I need to pick up the entire series, but I'm just collecting them as I see them in my half-price bookstore. If you haven't heard of the Invisible Library series, you're following Irene and Kai. And Irene is a librarian for the Invisible Library, which connects a whole bunch of different dimensions by keeping artifacts that are specific to those dimensions safe in its walls. And the librarians are supposed to keep them safe, but also go out and collect these artifacts from various dimensions. In each of these, there's kind of a different story that's followed. There is a through line throughout each book. And at this point, because of book 4, I think, I would recommend reading them in order. I do think some of them can be interchanged and it really wouldn't matter, but with the through line, I think that, I'm pretty sure it was book 4, you really needed to have all of the previous knowledge to make that book make sense. I don't know if this one's going to be following that through line or if we're going to be following another mystery. This has dragons and fairies and ghosts and vampires and anything supernatural that you can imagine. All the different dimensions have different varying levels of supernatural creatures that exist in their worlds, and it's fun to kind of find that out with Irene as she travels the universe. So I'm excited to get back to this one. It's a really quick read. I think this is one of the more chunky ones. It's in the 400s, which I don't remember the others being that large. But I'm intrigued with this cat on the cover. And I'm excited to get back to these characters that I've really had a fun time with. Another series continuation that I would like to get to that is kind of just a popcorn read for me is Sweep and Peace. This is the second book to the Clean Sweep series. I can't remember if that's the actual series name, but we are following our main character, Dina, I think, and she is an innkeeper for a supernatural inn. And in this particular story, you're following her trying to scrape together some customers, some inn-goers that can help her inn make a little bit of money, and she's struggling with that. She only has one person who is currently staying at the inn, and she's approached by someone to see if she would be able to keep or to house a whole bunch of people who are coming in for a peacekeeping council of sorts that has 3 main factions that are kind of at each other's throats. And she agrees because she needs the people to come and stay and she needs the money. But I think she signs up for a little bit more than she anticipated, and she ends up having to keep them from killing themselves or killing each other within her walls, and also causing an international incident because in the world that she's in, she does not live in a supernatural world. She just lives in a world that has supernatural creatures, but other people don't know about those creatures. And so she has to keep things kind of hush hush in the background as well. I really liked the first book. I think that these read really quickly. They're fun. I don't know that the series is ever going to be like a favorite. If I ever will give one a 5-star, I guess we'll have to find out. But they're definitely like solid 4-star books that I just really enjoy. And I think I need a little bit of that from the last couple of months. I've been a little disappointed with some of the books that I've been really excited about. And so I'm kind of going back to some series, you know, that I'm really confident in and have had a really fun time with in the past. And Sweep and Peace, I think, is going to be one of those. Next, I have a couple of new releases that I want to get to if I can get my hands on a copy. The first one is After the Fall by Edward Ashton. Edward Ashton wrote The Fourth Consort, which is one of my favorite books last year. And he's also written a couple other stories with Mickey 7 that I've really enjoyed. And so I just want to read more by him. I think that he has a really fun way of making kind of a quirky world that has some pretty intense topics, but also covers them in a fun way. And so I want to get to this one. After the Fall follows a main character who is a human, but lives in a world where humanity has been taken over by these aliens, and now humans, I think this is long past the kind of reign of humanity, and these aliens have come in and made humans into pets. And he is one of these aliens' pets. His alien treats him really well, and he has kind of a friendship of sorts. Companionship is probably the better word with the person that keeps him as a pet. But he ends up running into some humans who are fighting back and are wanting their independence. And they think of him as kind of lesser because he has bowed down to these aliens. I don't know exactly what's going to happen within this world, if he's going to end up joining the rebellion or what, but I am intrigued to find out. I wonder if this will be, it kind of feels like it's going to be another kind of fun, quirky story similar to The Fourth Consort. So I'm looking forward to finding out if it has the same tone. Another new release is The Forest on the Edge of Time. And this book I know I have access to because it just came up on Libby today, which makes me very excited. I am excited about this one because it features time travel with sci-fi and also dreamscapes, I think. You have two main characters. One of them is sent to be, I think, the only human left in the world, and she is living with a whole bunch of robots on an island and on a polluted world, and she's just trying to survive. The other one is sent back in time, I think, to like the dinosaur era, and has to live there. I'm not exactly sure how. And somehow they communicate through their dreams. I don't know how that works. It sounds kind of lovely. And I don't know if this is going to be more of a serious tale or if it's going to be a fun story. I have a feeling it's going to lean towards the more serious side. It is climate fiction as well, which I'm excited to see, especially with the time traveling components, how we're going to see from dinosaurs all the way to the world ending, I think will be an interesting premise to be in the middle of. So fingers crossed. I have really high hopes for this one. Next, we have The Depths of Vanalf. This one's been on my TBR since I found out about it, but it's been a little bit hard to get a hold of. This is an epic fantasy story that features Scandinavian folklore, which it had me there. You have an island that has been protected from the monsters out in the world. I don't know if everyone else in the world is dead and the only people who exist are on this island. I'm not exactly sure how that all works. One of our main characters, he has been training his entire life to become a magic wielder, and magic wielders have to go through this cave of monsters. It's also a cave that connects different dimensions, I think, and if they come out of the cave, they're given their magical abilities. Well, he has been training, but he hasn't actually gone through this process, and all of a sudden monsters are getting through the shield that keeps their island safe, and so him and a ragtag crew have to go through this cave of monsters in order to give their island more people, more magic wielders who can potentially keep their people safe. So I think this sounds like a blast and I love the cover. I am intrigued. I'm hoping that I absolutely love it because it sounds fantastic. And then the last book on my TBR is Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. I haven't read a Sanderson in quite a while, and this one has been on my TBR for a really long time, and it's a novella, so I don't know why I haven't read it. It is in the same world as the first book that was written by Sanderson, and why is that book not coming to my head? I'll put it on the screen so you guys can see it. This is a story that I have read that I didn't, I can't say I didn't enjoy it. It was in the 3-star range. It just wasn't my favorite, and it makes sense. It was a debut, and I think that it just focused on some things that I didn't really care about, but I did like the magic system involved. So Emperor's Soul, you are following a character who has the ability to create things, I believe. I haven't read a ton into it because of the fact that it's so short and I don't want to spoil myself for anything, but it's called the Emperor's Soul because I believe the Emperor is dying. And so our character is trying to figure out what is involved in creating a soul and whether or not they can recreate this soul that is dying. And so I think there's going to be a lot of discussions surrounding what makes someone human, what is a soul. And I'm excited about that aspect. I think it's going to be a fun exploration into the human condition. And I've heard a lot of great things about this little story. And it's one of, I think, one of Brandon Sanderson's first works. I know it's not his first, it's not his debut, but I do think it's one of his earlier works. So I do need to get to this one. And those are the 10 books that I plan on reading in March. So I have some of my goals mixed in throughout there. I've got a lot of physical TBR books. I have got a lot of series reads that I'm going to be continuing with. I have a 26 and 2026 on there. So I'm hitting a lot of different things within this TBR, and they're all stories that just sound absolutely fantastic for me. So I'm hoping March is my month. This is going to kickstart, you know, the rest of the year being absolutely fantastic reads. That's my hope anyway. If you have read any of these and would like to chat with me about them, please leave me a comment or let me know what you will be reading in March. What's the book you're most excited for reading? If you aren't feeling chatty, but you still want to let me know that you're here, leave me a little spaceship emoji for the expansion series. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.